All right, welcome back to the Elias Manco Show. We're kicking off the second hour of the show. You know, I'm going to start off the second hour by talking about something that I feel really is a changing in the Francophone media. Of late, we have seen voices in the Francophone media coming to the defense of Anglos. Now, y'all remember what happened when the government decided they're going to increase tuition rates for out-of-province Canadian students. There were a plethora of voices on the Francophone side defending the Anglo institutions that would be affected by this. And now we are seeing at least one voice come out and defend Anglos with regards to access to English healthcare in this province. And it's coming from Michel Sioget at La Presse. And he calls it, I would say he's calling it as it is. He says the English community is being used as a political tool, especially in light of what the province has recently suggested in an amendment to Bill 15, the Healthcare Reform Bill. And this amendment that would see Santé Quebec, that would be the new body created, give them the ability to remove services in languages other than French. Of course, English would be primarily affected by that. And he's writing about it in La Presse, saying, hey, another example of this government, the CAQ, using Anglos as a political tool. Let's talk a little bit more about this with Eva Ludvig, president of the Quebec Community Groups Network. Eva, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Elias.
So, what would you say? Do you think? I'm leading the witness here, of course, but would you say he's onto something?
Tell you, it's been a long time coming, and we're happy to see a senior, well-respected and experienced journalist such as Michel Sioget, who has covered Quebec and national politics for decades, take a look at the big picture. And it comes to the same conclusion that we have, and as you mentioned, that the Legault government has been using our community as a political football on all fronts. We can go back to Bill 96, and even before that, Bills 40 and 20, now, and more recently 23, regarding our community's constitutional rights to control and manage school boards, and of course the university tuition file, and most recently, the cities on the Sunday, as they would say, the cherry on the Sunday, with Bill 15, and the surprise amendment that came out of nowhere, unilaterally stripping health institutions of the right to offer services in English. And this really is welcoming. It has been a long time. We've been waiting for the Francophone media to pick up on this issue and to really see what is happening, that this government is using our community to create a diversion and division. And I think what is happening is a general disenchantment by Quebecers, Francophones as well as Anglophones, with this government. And really, I as you yourself mentioned, I think the change came with the tuition fee file, the university tuition fee file. Surveys showed that 64% of Quebecers were against the government's proposal. And we had directors of the Francophone universities who were against it. Many in the Francophone elite spoke up, mayors, the Chambre de Commerce, business leaders. And then, of course, the various fiascos that this government has gone through, whether it be the bringing the Kings to Quebec City, the raise in the MNA's pay, and then, of course, the various strikes and work issues that have been coming up. And I think what is happening is they're reaping what they have sown.
What for Christian Dubé, when he was asked about this, and he didn't have all the answers. Right now, that amendment has been suspended, but he really comes down to, and I've heard this before. We had Christopher Skeet on this program yesterday about an unrelated issue, but I asked him about it while he was on air, and the line comes down to trust us on this one. We're not going to touch healthcare. Just trust us. What do you say to that, especially for a guy like Christian Dubé, who I know, like you talk to people about the health minister. They have primarily very good things to say about how he's a well-meaning individual. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the very fact that he responded to the outcry speaks well for itself. We'll see what happens. He did suspend it, and he admitted that he really didn't know or understand it. And that's pretty concerning as well, as we're looking at a bill that they are looking at ramming through the legislation by the end of the week. And which, by the way, against which we've garnered more than 6,400 signatures at a petition that we have launched, asking them not to push through the legislation, but to take the time for consultation and for reflection and to really understand what is happening. And we believe that it's now becoming more and more difficult to trust this government in spite of Monsieur Dubé's well intentions. Remember, while we were having all the issues and concerns on Bill 96 way back when, the Premier himself reassured us that health will not be affected. Access to health and social services in English will not be affected. Then here comes this amendment, which totally...
Yet here we are. Eva, I want to play you some audio here because we had Andre Fortin, who is the Liberal Party Quebec, their health critic. Have a listen to what he said on this show.
Now, how that 50% is calculated, nobody really knows. Is it 50% of people who speak English at home, native English speakers? Is it 50% of services given in English in one hospital? Nobody really knows. And so when we dug a little deeper here, it became pretty obvious to us that the health minister didn't know the details of how this would work, didn't know the implications it would have, didn't know what hospitals could or could not be affected, and really couldn't justify the need for such an amendment. Is that this bill seems to be written as we go without much diligence in terms of the quality of the language that's used in the bill. And that's why so far we've adopted 600 articles and the minister himself has had to introduce 400 amendments or so. It's because the bill wasn't written properly to start with. And so I think that's been mostly their worry. But I think at the end of the day, they will, if they don't already, realize that access to healthcare is a right that shouldn't ever be discussed, just like it hasn't been discussed in the last 40-some years since Bill 101 has come in.
Let me ask you, Eva, on the subject of the Quebec Liberal Party, which of times they've waffled back and forth on Anglo rights on certain issues, and they themselves have been guilty of last-minute amendments in recent history with other bills. Do you feel that they are finding a moral compass on the Anglo rights issue? It certainly seems like Andre Fortin has been a hawk on this in the committee on Bill 15.
Well, certainly Andre Fortin has been expressing all our concerns and saying exactly the issues that concern us and have been raising it. He is on the committee. He's aware. It's a complex piece of legislation. It's lengthy. It's many articles, changes many things. And we certainly are pleased that this is now being brought up at the National Assembly by the Liberal Party, and there are objections from the other parties as well. And we salute Andre Fortin and his cohorts for expressing our concerns and the concerns of all Quebecers on this issue.
Eva, we have to leave it there. I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Eva Ludvig is president of the Quebec Community Groups Network.